As Israel police disturbed attempts to hold a ban referendum on Catalan independence from Spain. Joining me with that story and others making news this morning are KFM Shane Beatty and Director of the Irish Academy of Public Relations, Ellen Gunning. Good morning to you both. I think, Ellen, it's fair to say that we were all shocked by what we saw on our television yesterday, not because of the violence, although that was bad enough, but the fact that a European democratically elected government could treat its own citizens making a democratic protest in the way that they did.
I think democratic is the word. The whole nature of democracy is that people, we elect politicians to represent our views, we express our views in a democratic way. These people were trying to vote to say, this is what we would like done. No more than that. I thought that their president, Arthur Maat, was very responsible earlier when he said, look, this is not a binding vote, but this is a non-binding vote. We would like to get the pulse of the people effectively. The people felt they wanted to guide what was happening and say, we either want or don't want independence. It seems from reports this morning, 90% of people voted in favour of independence, and they got a 40% turnout, which must have been massively down based on the fact that as the day went on, people knew there was more and more violence, so it would stop people coming out. The biggest problem with this issue is that these people are not terrorists. They're not misbehaving in any way. They are simply seeking, through a legitimate ballot, whether it's binding or not, but they are to tell their politicians the direction they would like to go in. And Prime Minister Rajoy has reacted by saying, we will have none of this. This is not legal. This is not binding. And he has built the tension, I think, in the last week or more by sending in more and more policemen. I thought it was interesting that the Catalonian police themselves, the Mossos, did not go into the schools and close them down as they had been asked to. They sort of stood aside and said, look, it'll all be fine. And it probably would have been if there would have been no violence, if people had been allowed to go in and vote. Now, there were different consequences, but there would have been no violence.
It is extraordinary, Shane, that obviously the Spanish government don't want this, and it's against the Spanish constitution, all the rest of it, but there's a very large body of opinion. Several million people voted for this, potentially 5.5 million people could have. Why didn't the Spanish government say, okay, all right, let's have a non-binding vote, take the pulse of the people, manage it the same way, say, for example, they did with the Scottish vote?
Yeah, that is the big point, is that why would you be so strong in terms of preventing people from actually voting? They say it's against the constitution and that you can't do it, but let the people have this vote anyway, and then worry about it on Monday or Tuesday and bring all the sides in and talk about it. I mean, Rajoy has said he's open to all parties coming in for talks. There's a general strike actually tomorrow, but he's open for all parties coming in for talks. Now you can imagine what those talks will be like now, after we have 860 people injured by this. And I mean, the images, regardless of your views, the images of old women with blood on their faces, hearing about men having heart attacks outside voting stations as well, is just completely unacceptable. You know, I know that this is a sovereign state and they're allowed to do their own thing, but I think European leaders should have been a lot more strong in terms of their criticism.
That's the next question. Where do European leaders stand with this?
Well, they've no I'm trying to think of a word for this hour of the morning, but if they don't talk about this, they have no credibility here, because you can't in 2017 have not just a member of the EU, but a really big, powerful member of the EU treating citizens like this, and the rest of the EU sit around and say that's okay.
See, of course, we're not old enough to remember, Jane, but I am. Possibly you are.
I love the use of the word possibly.
But I'm old enough to remember when Spain was a fascist dictatorship. And this is jackboot tactics.
This is appalling. I was actually thinking when Shane was speaking that the only person I know of who has spoken out is the former Prime Minister of Belgium. And he said that while he respects the fact that Spain is a sovereign nation,
who was here last week.
But he said, look, I respect the fact that it is an independent nation, but this is wrong. This is jackboot tactics. And this is, I think from a Catalonian point of view, they're seeing a return to olden Spain that they thought would never happen again.
There is self-interest rules in all of these things, Shane, of course, and you can understand if the Spanish were to countenance, the Spanish government in Madrid were to countenance, a separate Catalonian state, then the Basques would want theirs, which is one of the reasons that they're not going to do that, because you could effectively see the breakup of Spain. It also feeds into the wider European arena in terms of Brexit negotiations. Spanish are vehemently against any special sort of deal for the UK vis-à-vis the North and Brexit.
So, and that's obviously why Brussels were so supportive in the past week or two of Spain and of the Spanish constitution and of not having this vote, is that they are worried about. I mean, potentially this could be, now not so much for Ireland, but for the EU, this could be bigger than Brexit, because if you did have the breakup of Spain, that would obviously be a huge, huge problem. Just one other point I wanted to make, though, which was about the fact the media coverage was very interesting, where they kept talking about protesters yesterday. A lot of people were saying they weren't protesters, they were voters. So these weren't people who were out looking for a riot. I mean, you would see older people crying at the idea that they will be allowed to have a vote on independence, and suddenly then they're being shot with rubber bullets and also the batons being used very strongly as well. But the fact we're calling them protesters, they weren't protesters, they were voters. So the whole language about this needs to change as well.
I think the other really interesting thing about the different regions in Spain is that they're all regarded as different nations under one Spanish king and one Spanish parliament. They all have their own independent parliament. I think you could probably do something like the United States of Spain. It has
well, you could do the same thing in Italy as well, Ellen. I mean, sure, Italy only became being recognised as a nation state, 100 odd years ago. Okay, moving on. Just to obviously, the single biggest thing our government has to deal with at the moment, two biggest things. One's Brexit, the other obviously is the housing crisis, and they are making efforts in that. But we hear, according to the new Goodbody report, that effectively the state's lying about the amount of progress they're making. House building activity in Ireland is substantially below what official data suggests. They're quoting figures of about 14,900. The actuality or reality is 5,300, which is effectively a third of what it is they're saying. So lies, damn lies and statistics.
I thought this was fascinating. I never knew how they calculated the new home build. I just took the word for it that if they said it was 15,000 homes, it was 15,000 homes. But actually how they calculate it is by the number of ESB connections that are made. Now ESB connections are made to houses that were formerly big old houses that are now in apartments. They're made to houses that were in NAMA. They're not necessarily new builds. So this new report is based on statistics compiled by My Home, and apparently they've looked at the building energy ratings, and that's where the difference comes out. They've said 5,000 homes, not 15,000. It's a massive difference.
Okay, I'm sorry, Shane, I'm going to have to leave it there because we're tight for time this morning. Thank you both very much indeed. Just want to bring you up to date with some breaking news. Authorities have shut down